As Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, welcomed a newly announced ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas. Now, the agreement, which incriminated Egypt, Qatar, and the United States after 15 months of intense fighting. The crisis, which has gripped the mining region in South Africa, continues to unfold. 78 people succumbed, whereas 166 were able to rescue successfully by the rescue team. Well, we will be bringing you the latest news on the same here at the Ambassador News, and I am your ambassador, Paul Madenge. To begin our bulletin today, now, the death toll from a violent siege at the South African mine has risen to 78, with rescue teams successfully freeing 166 people. The crisis, which has gripped the mining region for days, continues to unfold, with authorities working tirelessly to rescue the remaining trapped workers. Let's take a listen.
A tragic and ongoing crisis at a South African mine has claimed the lives of at least 78 people as rescue operations continue. Authorities have confirmed that 166 individuals have been freed, but the situation remains dire, with fears that the death toll could rise further.
We are sitting at 166 alive persons that have been retrieved from underground. The number of deceased has risen. We are sitting at 78. So just for today, it's 22 alive persons that have been retrieved, 18 bodies for today only.
The siege, which began earlier this week, has left many workers trapped underground or caught in violent confrontations between armed groups and security forces. Rescuers are racing against time to reach those still trapped, as the mine's remote location complicates access to the site. South African authorities have vowed to bring those responsible for the violence to justice.
Our mandate, like I've indicated, was to combat criminality, and that is exactly what we're doing, and it's exactly what we've been doing. We've never blocked any shafts, we've never blocked anyone from coming out. We simply said we cannot entertain illegal mining, and by providing food, water, necessities to these illegal miners, it would be the police entertaining and allowing criminality to thrive.
The siege has drawn attention to the broader issues of safety and security within the country's mining industry, which has long been plagued by labor unrest and violence. As the rescue operation continues, families and communities await news of their loved ones, with hopes dwindling for these still unaccounted for. The situation remains tense, and the full scale of the disaster is yet to be fully realized. Irene Juguna, GBS News.
In Mozambique, Daniel Chapo has been officially inaugurated as president, succeeding Filipe Nyusi, who served 2 terms in office. Chapo's swearing in comes after a controversial election that opposition parties have condemned as rigged, sparking violent protests and widespread arrest across the country. With allegations of electoral fraud and a heavy-handed response from security forces, the situation in Mozambique continues to raise concerns over human rights and political stability. We will bring you the latest on the situation unfolding the capital and beyond. Let's take a listen.
Daniel Chapo's inauguration as president of Mozambique marks the continuation of Frelimo's long-standing rule following the end of Filipe Nyusi's 2 terms. However, his ascension comes amid controversy surrounding the October election, which opposition parties have denounced as rigged. Violent protests erupted in response to the election results, with reports from international rights groups claiming that security forces killed over 100 people. The protests were met with a heavy-handed response from authorities who defended their actions by stating that the protests were violent. Rights organizations, on the other hand, condemned the use of live ammunition on peaceful protesters. Despite claims of irregularities in the election and altered results, Mozambique's Constitutional Council upheld Frelimo's victory, affirming Chapo's position. Frelimo, once a guerrilla movement that fought for independence from colonial rule, has faced persistent allegations of electoral fraud since the country's first democratic elections in 1994. The protests represent one of the most significant challenges to Frelimo's dominance since the Civil War, with opposition party Renamo, once a rebel group, continuing to play a prominent role in Mozambique's political landscape. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
In Uganda, a military court has ruled that opposition leader Kizza Besigye will start trial for treachery with the possibility of a death sentence if convicted. The 68-year-old former presidential candidate faces multiple charges, including illegal possession of a firearm and alleged solicitation and military backing to destabilize the country. The ruling comes as Besigye continues to challenge the long-standing rule of President Yoweri Museveni. Here is more.
In a development that has raised international concern, Ugandan opposition figure Kizza Besigye now faces the possibility of a death sentence following a ruling by a military court. Besigye, who has run for president 4 times, is accused of treachery, a charge added to his case in recent days. Besigye, who went missing in Nairobi late last year, was later seen appearing before a military court in Kampala, facing charges of illegal firearm possession and alleged attempts to destabilize Uganda's national security. Human Rights Watch has condemned the trial, calling it another example of the Ugandan government using military courts to suppress opposition voices. Rights groups have long accused President Yoweri Museveni of using legal and political tactics to maintain his grip on power. Besigye, for his part, denies all the accusations, calling them politically motivated. His trial, which takes place ahead of Uganda's 2026 presidential elections, is expected to further intensify the ongoing political tensions in the country. With Uganda's political climate under scrutiny, the international community is watching closely as the case unfolds. Irene Juguna, GBS News.
In a groundbreaking legal development, foreign mineral brokers have been convicted for the first time in the Democratic Republic of Congo for unauthorized mineral exploration. The ruling, which also includes charges of fraud, money laundering, and looting, underscores the DRC growing efforts to combat illegal mining and trafficking in one of the world's most resources-rich yet volatile regions. This trial, set against the backdrop of increasing environmental concerns and regional instability, signals a crucial step towards more stringent regulation of the mining sector in Democratic Republic of Congo. The case has sparked mixed reactions, with some hailing it as a pivotal movement for justice, while others vow to appeal the decision. Let's take a listen.
3 Chinese citizens have been sentenced to 7 years in prison and fined $600,000 for illegally exploiting mineral resources in the Democratic Republic of Congo, making it the first time foreign brokers have been convicted for unauthorized mineral exploitation in the country. The defendants were arrested on January 4th in Bukavu with 10 gold bars and $400,000 in cash. They were also found guilty of fraud, money laundering, and looting. Their lawyers plan to appeal, claiming the judgment is unjustified. However, prosecution lawyers hailed the verdict as deterrent to future illegal mining operations. The case highlights ongoing efforts in the DRC to combat illegal mining. Environmental activist Eli Mulume noted that the fight against illegal mineral trafficking requires collaboration among authorities, local communities, and mining companies to ensure sustainable and fair exploitation of the country's rich mineral resources. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
That international news brings us to our very first break. We will be right back with even more.
Hello everyone!
Welcome to
Fun.
Fun. And the hyenas were there. They wanted to snatch the baby and tear that baby into pieces and eat.
Today we're going to make a cactus in a pot. Hey, you, cold on. Are you biting your thumb at me?
I love my mommy. I love my mommy. Yeah.
Are you going to show love to your friend? I'm sure you are going to do that.
Friends, until next time, bye!
Because those people, let's commend them on their quality. Sana sana their music videos quality naanga top notch.
Kwa artist anataka kuwa msanii. Usiende kwa studio kwanza kurecord ngoma bila kuwa educated about music. Juu sasa utaingia hapo, urecord ngoma yako vizuri alafu
yo utakuwa umegain kila kitu, but pia label uyachangi hivyo. Yeah, we helped you, so you are supposed to
Do something.
Yeah.
Kiingia unapangwa contract. Unajua contract inakonga between two parties. Mnaagria under one thing, kila mtu analeta interest zake, then mnaangalia vile mtapata.
We have talent in the ghettos, but manze usanii ni ngumu, designer wise endelea.
Manze mimi niliona movie ya Kenya je. Na ni movie ilikuwa ina trend. Walitumia Land Rover hizi za kitambo, hizi chuma, hizi
Yeah. Mtu akisenza audio kitu ni ya uongo.
Umeelewa kabisa.
Form 1 kuna mseme hando akasema yeye ni artist. Akaambia kuja hapa bro. Unichore pilipili na ukali yake.
Kuna pilipili part sawa, but now how the ukali part.
So through the four gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth. And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins. He carried our sins. And he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins. And he was put into the tomb and resurrected in 3 days. This is the gospel that we speak. About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified. He was crucified to pay for our sins. And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean. However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to our international news. Now, a historic ceasefire agreement has been reached between Hamas and Israel, ending 15 months of conflict in Gaza. The deal includes a 6-week truce and the release of hostages, bringing hope to a region devastated by war. Palestinians in Gaza celebrated, but they are still bearing with the scars of the war. Abdi Hamid Ali has more.
I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
Outgoing President Joe Biden has announced a ceasefire deal has been reached after a 15-month war in Gaza. The agreement is expected to take effect on Sunday.
The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. In exchange, Israel released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners.
This truce, which aims to halt the bloodshed, will also allow a much-needed humanitarian aid to reach Palestinian civilians in Gaza, where over 46,000 people have been killed in the conflict. While the deal offers a glimmer of hope, the road ahead remains uncertain. Israel's security cabinet must still approve the agreement, and hardline opposition within Israel's government could pose challenges. Even with celebrations in the streets of Israel and Gaza, the future of peace in the region hinges on whether both sides can honor this fragile agreement.
We are happy with this victory because the Palestinian people simply want their freedom. Freedom for the Palestinian people. We don't want anything but freedom, and to live with dignity without occupation.
Just 2 hours after the ceasefire agreement has been reached, Israel conducted an airstrike which killed 18 people, a clear violation of the peace deal. The question lingers, will this truce be a step towards lasting peace or just a temporary pause in a deeply rooted conflict? The world watches closely, but history has shown that peace in the region is more fragile than a glass. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Red flag warnings have expired across the Los Angeles area, but the threat of wildfires remains high as dry. Weedy conditions persist. Firefighters continue to tackle massive blazes that have engulfed the city for over a week. 25 people have been killed and over 12,000 homes have been destroyed. Authorities are warning that the danger is far from over. Here is more on the scene.
The wildfires in Los Angeles have caused devastation on a massive scale. Firefighters are facing strong winds and low humidity as they work to control 2 large fires that has caught the world's attention.
Strong winds has further dried out the brush, increasing the risk of fire. The danger has not yet passed, so please prioritize your safety.
These blazes have burned thousands of acres and forced nearly 200,000 people to evacuate. While the red flag warning expired Wednesday, forecasters predict that the danger will renew soon. Officials are urging residents to remain alert and be ready to evacuate at a moment's notice.
Here we are on the front of PCH, this portion of Malibu, where all of these homes were just leveled. And we wanted to show you the amount of true destruction that took through here, so you get an idea of how much effort it's going to take to clean all of this up.
The impact of these fires cannot be underestimated. The damage to homes and communities has been catastrophic. With entire neighborhoods reduced to ash, the situation is made worse by a persistent lack of rainfall and a threat of the strong Santa Ana winds. As firefighters work to contain the flames, the question remains: what will it take to prevent such disasters in the future? The people of Los Angeles are resilient, but the city's ability to recover from this crisis will depend on their leaders' ability to preventing the next one. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Now to our international sports news. Arsenal reignited their Premier League title challenge with dramatic 2-1 win over Tottenham, while Alexander Isak continued his goal-scoring for Newcastle, lifting them into top 4. Arsenal came from behind the defeat Tottenham 2-1 at the Emirates with equalizer of a header and Alejandro Trossard, striker, before halftime. Despite missed chances, the Gunners held on the close of gap to Liverpool, now just 4 points behind. In other action, Isak scored twice in Newcastle 8-0 win over Wolves, extending his goal strike to 8 matches and propelling them into 4th place. Everton's struggles continue under David Moyes, losing 1-0 to Aston Villa, leaving them dangerously close to relegation. Leicester at the Road Van were beaten 2-0 by Crystal Palace, marking their 6th consecutive defeat. Arsenal victory and Newcastle rise highlight an exciting Premier League season ahead. That's all we have prepared for you today here at Ambassador. We meet same place, same time every Thursday and Friday. Have a good afternoon.